Almighty God, ruler of heaven and earth, we beseech thee to inspire and guide all our actions so that we may always tread through the path of justice and charity to one another and the nation. Amen. Good morning, distinguished colleagues. It's good to have you around for another plenary day. And I want to appreciate you for being patient with us. We have to go through some technical itch and some other consultations before we commence. We're sorry for the delay before the commencement, and we'll be going into that now. I believe we all have the vote and proceedings for yesterday, Wednesday, 11th July 2012. Not yet? Chairman, Rules and Business, where is he? Chairman, Rules and Business. Honorable Dogo. The minority leader. Could you please get us the chairman, Rules and Business? So none of us have the vote and proceedings for yesterday. Right. Okay. Please, if you have the vote and proceedings, please signify by raising your hand. Yesterday's vote and proceedings. Distinguished colleague, can anybody please help us find the chairman, Rules and Business? Okay. Deputy Speaker, please approach the bench. The majority leader.
Mr. Okay, you are welcome. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, we thank God Honorable Dogo is here, but I want to use this opportunity to move that we suspend the adoption of voting and proceeding to move to the next item before this. So, Mr. Speaker, I call on the minority leader to do your own work. Thank you.
The majority, I think the votes are here. The votes and proceedings are here. Maybe we should just go ahead with the vote and proceedings.
Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I want to suspend our rules and accommodate our visitors that are here first before we move to the votes and proceedings. Mr. Speaker, I so move. Thank you.
The minority leader.
Mr. Speaker, my honorable colleagues, I hereby second the motion moved by the majority leader. Thank you.
Distinguished colleagues, distinguished colleagues, there is a motion on ground from the majority leader. He says that we suspend our rules to accommodate our distinguished guests that have come here today to share with us their experience in their various fields of endeavors. So if you are in support, say hi. And if you are against, say no. The ayes have it. Distinguished colleagues, have you gone through the first page of the vote and proceedings, page 5 of vote and proceedings of Wednesday, 22nd November 2017? Please quickly go through it. Any observation, any correction, kindly signify by raising your hand. Any corrections? Honorable Emmanuel Boniface.
Good morning, Mr. Speaker, my honorable colleagues. At the left-hand top corner here, 4th Youth Parliament instead of 3rd Youth Parliament.
Distinguished colleague, thank you very much. That has been taken care of. Any other correction? In the absence of no other correction, I would like to call on Honorable John Julius Adesanya to move for the adoption of the vote and proceedings, page 5.
Mr. Speaker, distinguished honorable colleagues, I, Honorable Adesanya John Julius Adefolarin, member representing Ogun East Senatorial District at the Nigerian Youth Parliament, hereby move for the adoption.
Honorable Jallo, please second the motion.
Good morning, all. My name is Honorable Hassan Mohamed Jallo, representing Yobe South Central District. I rise to second the motion. Thank you.
Thank you very much, distinguished colleagues. If you are in support of the adoptions of vote and proceedings, page 5 of Wednesday, 22nd November 2017, please say aye. Aye. And if you are against, say no. The ayes have it. Any corrections on page 6? Honorable Maruf.
Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, I'm Honorable Maruf Adewale Adesoji. I represent Osun West Senatorial District. Mr. Speaker, we all understand that the vote and proceedings is meant to capture the key discussions that took place in the previous business day in the Parliament. But Mr. Speaker, to my observation, some motions that were discussed on the floor of the House was not even mentioned, even if it's ordinarily the title. I think we should have deemed it fit to have included it there. Then also on paragraph 6, on page 6 as well, item 1, there is an omission there. Thank you.
Come again, item 1, where?
Item 1 under paragraph 6 on page 6.
Okay, item 1, there's an omission, okay. All right, thank you. So, distinguished honorable, the vote and proceedings is this brief because we'll be having a very comprehensive report and at the same time a communique. So it is better to keep the vital details for that report, and that's why we made this as brief as possible. So it will be captured, don't worry, in the report and also in the communique. And the omission will be adequately taken care of, as in the name of the visitor would be included in the amendment. Thank you very much. Any other correction? Honorable Suleiman, you are not properly dressed. Honorable Blessing Itasia, move for the adoption of page 6 of the vote and proceedings. Please.
And my colleagues, in the absence of any other correction, I, Honorable Blessing Itasia, representing Cross River State South, so second. So move.
Honorable Tomi, please second the adoption of the second page of the vote, page 6 of the vote and proceedings.
Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, my name is Honorable Tomi Oluwole Aladesuru, representing Ekiti South Senatorial District. I second the motion as raised by my fellow honorable. Thank you.
Distinguished colleagues, if you are in support of the motion, please say aye. Aye. If you are against, say no. The ayes have it. Distinguished colleagues, item 4 and 5 will be skipped. It is just a normal procedure of the National Assembly on Thursday, on any legislative day that falls on Thursday. So it will not really be considered by the Nigerian Youth Parliament as we don't have any. The Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, the next item of the day is, in our order paper, is item 6, order announcement, if there's any. Mr. Speaker, I call on the Minority Leader to second. Thank you.
The Minority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I hereby second.
Thank you, distinguished colleagues. Distinguished colleagues, good morning once again. The chairman rules and business, please, there are some of our colleagues that just arrived. Could you please get them copies of the vote and proceedings? Before then, you can share with your colleagues. I mean, the other paper. You have it, before then, you can share with your colleagues. Thank you. Today, we have in our midst Comrade Jennifer Bezong, Head of Department, Education, Information Research, Public and International Relations, Nigerian Union of Local Government Employees, that's NOGE. Will be standing in for the National President of NOGE. And we also have with us distinguished girls from Romania and the European Union. We have Mr. Gregor Siopak and I think Mr. Petrika Macedon, sorry if I don't pronounce your name too well. All right, thank you. And with us today, we have another distinguished guest, is Mr. Austin Okere, founder, CWG Africa, largest systems integration company in the sub-Saharan Africa. Thank you for coming. And we have Mr. Jelani Aliyu MFR, the Director General, National Automotive Design and Development Council. I want to welcome all of them to these hallowed chambers, as in where youth gather to discuss issues of national importance, and we learn from those that have the requisite expertise that could help us and shape our deliberations and our resolutions. Thank you very much for coming. Distinguished colleagues, once again, I want to appreciate you for your patience, as in there has been a lot of itches, but we thank God that for your patience we've been able to manage through, and we're sorry once again for the delay today. The Parliament is concerned about the plight of IDPs in Nigeria. It is indeed a worrisome issue, and the Parliament is of the opinion that the government should act fast and do move to cater for these citizens. We also urge the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, to rapidly supply relief materials to IDP camps. So, distinguished colleagues, not to waste much of our time, soon after taking the bill, I'm going to announce some of our colleagues that will have to go to the IDPs for a visit, and other visits that have been scheduled yesterday. They will briefly go. So far, we've already formed the quorum to quickly go there and come back to give us a report on what they have seen. As part of our oversight functions, you know, the legislature is about making laws. They are about the oversight and all that. So please, if you are called upon, it's a duty of the Parliament. We trust you that you will do well, and you are going to represent us well. Thank you very much, distinguished colleagues. So as not to waste much of our time, the Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, may I move that we suspend our rules to allow our visitors to make at least 10 minutes presentation, Mr. Speaker. I call on the Minority Leader to second. Thank you.
The Minority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, Obande Gideon is my name, Minority Leader. We remain Republicans. We support your motion. Thank you.
Distinguished colleagues, if you are in support of the motion, say aye. Aye. And if you are against, say no. The ayes have it. The Majority Leader. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, distinguished colleagues. I'll call on Mr. Austin Okere, founder, CWG Africa, largest systems integration company in sub-Saharan Africa, to please step up to the podium and educate the Nigerian youth on entrepreneurship, on business solutions, and other for some of us that still want to get into that line, and so to educate our other colleagues too back there that we represent.
Into here, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Somebody's going to come and take this. Mr. Speaker, distinguished honorables, please pardon my protocol. It's my first time to be in front of an assembly. I'm more of a business person, and so correct me as I go along with love. I'm an entrepreneur. I've been an entrepreneur for 30 years, and I founded and listed the largest ICT company in Nigeria on the Nigerian Stock Exchange. And I'm here this morning to share my experiences and also to share my experiences and also to invite you to undertake the pursuit of entrepreneurship, because I believe that this is the way in which we can create jobs for ourselves, for our brothers and sisters and children, and this is the way we can hasten development of our country. I have a few slides, not many, and I suppose at the end of this period, we would have benefited to the extent that I will also take some questions that you may have. Whilst the slides are coming up, I would also like to say that I'm an entrepreneur in residence at Columbia Business School in New York, and I've been an entrepreneur in residence there for 10 years. I work with the World Economic Forum on entrepreneurship and innovation. I'm on the Global Business School Network Advisory Board. And this is the experience that I have used in teaching both in Columbia and Lagos Business School and other institutions in Nigeria and globally. As the slide loads, I will just quickly go through them, and I will make it as quickly as possible. If we finish quickly, I have a photo album for you, and I have a proposition for you. I am sure that you deserve the photo album. It's coming up. I'm very impressed with the multimedia facilities here at the Assembly. I actually haven't been anywhere near, so I didn't know what to expect. But I'm deeply impressed with what you have. Where's the D drive?
Installing. It's installing.
Ah, it's installing. Okay. I had the privilege to meet a couple of the honorables yesterday and had a very deep chat with them. And I was very impressed that so many people have been here to share experiences with the youth parliament. I've also gone to YouTube to watch some of your proceedings, and I would say that it will give any parliament in the world a run for their money. Big congratulations on this and for Nigeria.
Thank you.
This one?
You know the name?
Yeah. No, to come? So what do I click though? Okay, there you go. So it's going to come here? Yeah, it's the one. It's coming. Eventually, technology works. And then how do we... yeah, no, I don't have a clicker. So how do I go back and forth? Forward. I can use this?
No, we use a...
It doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
Okay, so it doesn't... Okay, let's do one thing. Yeah, it goes. Okay. It works. So I've been through this. Let me quickly go through by saying that the problems we see in Nigeria should not deter us. What we should do is know that these problems are everywhere in the world. Forget about what is beyond your power. Focus on what is in your power and do what you can do in your... So we know about all these issues. Let's not continually repeat them. Let's also look at the opportunity, because wherever you have problems, there are opportunities. The whole issue is to think outside the box, broaden your horizon. And I'll use my story to give you an example. We believe that there should be no excuses. Excuses are many. Anybody can give excuses. Let's not make ourselves the manufacturer of excuses. Go ahead and do what you need to do and leave excuses alone. This is what we believe in our company. As an entrepreneur, this is the first thing you have to imbibe, no excuses. Just taking you through a brief presentation. 1992 to 1999 was the fundamental of a new beginning. There was military rule in Nigeria. Democracy came in 1999. So there were so many issues. But the most important is that we built our company on the currency of trust. Where rule of law is immature, let trust be your guidance. In the year 1997, we were happy to be the single provider for hardware, software, and communications. This was something that we did in order to ensure that projects we did were successful. But the rapid scaling of our company came in 2002 to 2003 when we had democracy. And then, of course, there was a bank consolidation and all that. And things moved very fast at the dawn of the democracy. Between 2003, we went quickly into Cameroon and Uganda, having done very well in Nigeria. We started in 92. So 2003 is 11 years. We made sure we conquered the local before we went international. And then in 2004 to 2007, we saw rapid economic growth in Nigeria due to liberalization. If you notice what happened during the years in this time, banks were consolidated, if you remember. And anytime things like this happen, there is opportunity for entrepreneurs to go in and provide services. 2007, there was a boom on the stock exchange. Of course, this also brings its own opportunities. There was a case study on computer warehouse by Columbia Business School. That's why I became an entrepreneur in residence there. And MIT also did a case study, which is a good ambassadorship for Nigeria, because these cases are always in class in Nigeria, in those countries, and they see what is possible in Nigeria. But sometimes things go up and sometimes things come down. Between 2008 and 2010, there was a global meltdown, which also affected Nigeria. So we had impact. The exchange rate went from 118 to 130. But what I would like to point out is that whenever you have lemons, make lemonade. We had the same issue in 2015 to 2016, and Nigeria came out stronger. Our agriculture came out stronger. Whenever there is lemons, make lemonade. If you look at the period between 2010, our ATM sales, which were about $35 million a year, disappeared. And this is where you come in, because this was on the back of regulation. The CBN banned banks from putting ATM outside bank branches. I think you remember that. And whenever we're going to do such regulation, we should also remember that it has its impact. So that was the business that totally disappeared as a result of regulation. 2011 to 2012, we had a business that was impacted by technology. We had fiber coming to our shores, which is good, but we were doing VSATs, providing banks connectivity with VSATs. They are slower than fiber, more expensive, so that went away, which is fine. But the most important thing is to know what to do when you are disrupted. You have to now be innovative. So that's why I say never say die, because we use that same facility to provide the basis for the digital switchover. The same facility we're using for the VSAT is what we use to launch JOS, we use to launch Abuja and the other states on digital switchover in partnership with SES Astra. In 2013, we went ahead to list our company on the Nigerian Stock Exchange, and it became the biggest technology company in the ICT sector on the stock exchange. It has remained so. But it hasn't been rosy at all. It's been difficult. But I think the things I would like to share with you is that every time in the history, there are recalibration of industry. Like, we never knew that retail will be replaced by e-commerce. We never knew that taxi hailing will be replaced by Uber. There's always something happening that we need to be there to take advantage of. Like agri, for instance, solid minerals. Please open your eyes to the opportunities in these sectors, because innovation is crucial and it happens every day. This car, and this car are one and the same. It's just innovation that differentiates them. This is how you were listening to music when you were very small. Today, you have gone to earpieces, which makes it nicer. So what I'm saying in essence is that disruption has already happened. Taxi, Uber has no cars, biggest taxi. Airbnb has no hotel rooms, biggest hotel. Skype and WeChat, we use it even more than we make calls. Facebook is what we listen to for news. When was the last time you bought Guardian or This Day? So these things are happening and we must take advantage of them. Today, we are the technology of business. We provide platforms for IGR. So we provide platform for compulsory insurance enforcement, provide platform for gaming. We've worked with NICOM and all these people, because technology is not buying computers and selling computers. Technology is more of using STEM principles to provide a solution that you can then, bring to help your community. Utility systems. The one that I would like to call your attention to is the one that is on financial inclusion, which is important. Market women are not poor. They just don't have time to go and queue in the bank. So you have to bring the bank to them. This is what we did with one of the banks called Diamond Bank. And we saw their customer base rise. In 23 years, they were able to get 7 million accounts. As we put our software in there, they made 6 million more accounts in 1 year. So that was a big issue. If this video showed, you'd have seen the Diamond Yellow account, bills and pay. It doesn't show. So in my experience, the thing we fear most is not the adversity that we have. We fear anxiety. What will happen to me? What if I fail? What will people think? This should not stop you. Every failure is another mark on your experience, rich experience tree. Pick up yourself and continue. We also have to stretch. Let's not stay in our comfort zone. You're sitting here today, that's good. You will not be sitting here forever, maybe 2 terms. Think about what next and stretch out of your comfort zone to provide yourself a means. The trade-offs I made coming to the end of my presentation, I stopped pleasing people because I prefer to have accomplishment than affirmation. We're always looking for people to praise us. We have to look for significance rather than security. Venture out. And always don't look at your success or failure in terms of short term. Because in the short term it may be rough, but in the long term, you may have hit it, but you quit before the time. So basically, the 3 W's that sustain me: willpower, learn whatever you need to learn for the business you're going to do; willpower, go the extra mile when people say it's time to quit. Put on your extra shoes and go the extra mile. Willpower is just a patience. Inside every seed is a tree, but when you plant the tree, you have to have the patience for it to grow. Cocoa takes 5 years. If you cut it down after 1 year to say it's not producing anything, it's your loss. We have to have that patience. So these are some of the people that we've worked together in partnership in my company. Michael Dell is one that I admire quite a lot. Oh, I think the system is slow. It won't bring Jack Ma of Alibaba is another person that I admire quite a lot. A lot of flack for Travis of Uber. But to be said for him, I think he transformed the way transport is in the whole world. So Salesforce, this man started a platform business. Corporate governance, this is the king of corporate governance in Africa. Mo Ibrahim is giving awards for best governments in Africa, and I think he's doing something good. And then we have the Grameen Bank guy giving small loans, micro loans to women, and he has made a big difference in the lives of rural people. And then we have what is happening in Rwanda. I call it the miracle of Rwanda. Paul Kagame is really taking that small country to great heights with IT, and is really punching above his weight. Same with Macky Sall of Senegal. I have deep respect for our own. We also have some people in there, yes, we do. Singapore has raised the bar, and I think it's a good standard for us to follow. These are some of our own as well. It's not in this chamber, maybe in the senior chamber. So at the end of the day, these are not spirits. These are people that decided to volunteer to go and get it done. We have our own Aliko as well, providing jobs for so many people. Because he was bold, he took the bull by the horns. So what I'm going to be doing now is to set up an academy. The academy is specifically to train only entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs, people thinking about going into entrepreneurship, people already in entrepreneurship, but they want to scale their business and take it to the next level. And then people that will want to attract capital. But when you want to attract capital, you have to tell us when you will provide a liquidity event. Liquidity event is like IPO or listing. You can't tell me bring capital in my business and I don't know when that liquidity event will happen. They go hand in hand. And these are the things that we're going to be providing by way of training. And the purpose is simple, to inspire leaders to become the best they can. Personally, what drives me, I believe that a billionaire should be somebody touch 1 billion people directly or indirectly, and not just somebody who has $1 billion in assets. A candle loses nothing by lighting other candles. Thank you very much.
Please hold on, sir. Thank you very much. I'm very sure our colleagues are very inspired, and thank you for keeping to the time. As in before my own comments, I'll take one question from the Democrats briefly and another from the Republican. The Democrats, any question? Honorable Prince Adetayo.
Mr. Speaker, honorable members, it's good to have a very sound entrepreneur in the House. Nigeria is blessed to have you, sir. My question will go thus. What would you advise a young man who intends to start business as early as possible? Because it's quite very, very difficult to get startup capital. So what solutions would you prefer as easy as possible for a young person to get startup capital? Thank you very much.
I had a Twitter chat yesterday, and this same question came up about capital. Capital is the first thing that anybody going to start business is going to talk about. And I always say, let's not hide behind capital. Because yes, capital is required. I asked one guy who was asking about difficulty of capital. I said, just close your mind, close your eyes and imagine that you had all the money you needed. Now tell me, what will you do? And he started stammering. Because it always gives you the reason why you shouldn't take the next step. You can always create your business in a small proof of concept manner called minimum value product. You have to show skin in the game. When I started CWG, I used my own money to rent the place I started from. I was using my same Peugeot 504 car to do deliveries, and I was sitting in it. And when people saw that this business was going somewhere, that is when they brought in the capital. In 2009, we attracted $10 million from Abraj. Not at the beginning. We started in 1992. We attracted capital in 2009, $10 million. But people would like to put it the other way around first. They want to first attract $10 million before they start. But that's not going to happen. Because if you have $10 million at the beginning, I can bet you, you waste half of it. Your official car will be big, your office will be, and all that. But what you need is let the business prove its concept. Once the concept is proven, and people see that this business needs more money to scale, then capital will come. In fact, when we started in 1992, sources of capital were very limited. Today, there are so many sources of capital. Part of what we'll be doing at the Also Leadership Academy is to put Nigerians that have capital in touch with serious businesses that need capital. There are people that have capital, but they do not believe that the business they want to invest in is serious. And that connection has to be made. Start small, prove the concept, and then the capital will come.
Thank you very much, sir. From the Republican, Honorable Sharon.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I remain Honorable Sharon Omotayo, member representing Edo North Youth in the Nigerian Youth Parliament. Sir, for instance, you're already into a business and you want that business to grow further, but you find out that most times your customers will patronize you, and because you don't have much capital, but what you're making do with, you want it to go further, and when they patronize you, you're not getting, probably the debt is so much that at times when you want to go get new products, the debt you have outside is much more. What is the advice to such business? Thank you.
Honorable, I think that the biggest problem that a business that is young can have is debt that is unsustainable. What it then means is that you are financing other people's lives or their businesses. Someone who is buying from you and is not paying is not your customer. You are just bribing him to take some goods from you. Look for your customer. You have to put effort in developing great products and great services. Have a good delivery channel. What I see is that a lot of people have only one strategy: undercut the price. That's the only strategy we know. But that strategy is a race to the bottom. I call it a rat race. If you are in a rat race and you win, even if you win, you are still a rat. Don't join a rat race. Differentiate yours. You are wearing a beautiful dress. I'm sure that you will always pay your tailor the amount she asks you, because she's produced great products that you would like to buy, not anyhow. And once you have those great products and great services with a delivery channel, look at other competitive models. Apart from price cutting, other competitive models, technology leadership. Look at Apple. People are always queuing in front of their shop to buy their products because they know it's great technology. Look at DSTV. They don't beg anybody. Everybody just goes and buys DSTV into their house so that the children will leave you alone, because they have great service excellence, good pictures, nice program, easy to pay. And then there are those corner shops. That's customer intimacy, which is the third competitive model. Before you want to buy something, they know what you need, because they've been supplying you for a long time. And they'll come, customer, you forgot to buy Pampers. And they'll bring for you. And you'll be happy to pay. You won't even negotiate, because you actually need that Pampers. So customer intimacy, service excellence, technology leadership are other ways of contributing, not just always price cutting. And please define your customers as those that pay you for your service, not those you are paying to take your goods.
Thank you very much, sir. From the bench, I would like to ask, what does it take for you to get enrolled into the Also Leadership Academy? And how do you intend to partner with the Nigerian Youth Parliament on this, on both the Leadership Academy and the youth development and programs that you have, particularly in the area of entrepreneurship? Thank you.
As I was sitting at the back there, one of the notes I made was that the Also Leadership Academy will have at least 10% of the spaces for people in this parliament. Not because of the fact that there are no other people to take their seats, but if people that are going to be in charge of our country are good entrepreneurs, then of course they will, by their experience, make our country an entrepreneurial country. The problem we have is that people are professional politicians, nothing else to do. So they don't even understand the problems of the country regarding entrepreneurship and what it needs. But if the people here are into entrepreneurial pursuit and politics is what they come to do to serve the people, then they will understand what they need to put in place to make entrepreneurship thrive. So it's going to be a cohort. The first cohort is going to be in Q1 of 2018. There's going to be a maximum of 40 people and a minimum of 25 people. So in that 40 people, at least 10 people, 4 people must come from here in each tranche. There are 3 tranches. The first tranche is people that are thinking of venturing. These are leaders. I'm not talking about young people who want to start up. People are there to help those ones. I'm here to help leaders. So people that are leaders, whether they are EDs, MDs of businesses or here that want to start business, they want to go into venturing, our job is to take them through 4 weeks of venturing preparation, setting the agenda, what do you need to put in place, what do you look out for, and so on and so forth. Avoid the mistakes we made. The second tranche is scaling. There are also people here that are running businesses, like the Honorable said, but they are plagued by debt. People don't pay and so forth. So they can't even move the business to the next level. And we need to hold their hands and say, this is how to scale your business. You put in structures, processes, people, and you need to define what we'll do and not. Don't be afraid, because the business will dip a little, but it will pick up and it will be sustainable. The way it is not sustainable, even if it looks as if you are doing business. Cash is coming, cash is going, but it's not sustainable. So this is what we're going to teach them in the scaling part. The last part, which is the legacy part, is to teach the entrepreneur that you need to open up. Owning everything by yourself and dying and the business dying with you is not in fashion anymore. When you have run a business for 10 years, 15 years, you want to attract capital to expand it, and you want to make it into a public company that will outlive you. And we need to teach people how to do that. Because when you attract capital, in 7 years' time maximum, you should be thinking about an IPO or listing on the stock exchange. So you can call your business Ayobe & Co., but it's not going to die with Ayobe. It's going to continue to be called, Google it, Guinness is somebody's name, and many, Morgan Stanley and all those, they are people's names. But even after they are dead, the company still outlives them. This is what we need to then train people for. Each of these models is for 4 weeks, and they are going to happen in Lagos to start with. I will coordinate with the headship of the Youth Parliament to know who will be interested to join. But there will always be at least 10% of the spaces reserved for you. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much, sir. We are indeed very grateful. We are sorry, maybe you're not used to the parliamentary way. I know you have done very well. We're inspired, but save for the clap. As in, we don't clap in the parliamentary system. As in, but looking at the mood and the feelers I get from the parliament, we are indeed very happy. And we'll be looking forward to trainings, because that's what we believe in. We want to be better leaders, so you don't underestimate the power of training. I will be contacting you the more. Thank you for your time, and thank you for being very humble.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much, sir. Yes, distinguished colleagues, all the way from Romania, we'll be having just a goodwill message. It's just to say hi to us and understudy the Nigerian Youth Parliament. And once you will just come to the podium and say hi to us. They are looking at what we're doing. We're leading the trend. We have Mr. Gregory Seyopak and Mr. Patricia Macedon just to say,
I'm here to greet you.
Nu suntem mandatați oficial să reprezentăm poporul român aici. Suntem într-o scurtă vizită de afaceri.
We are not here in behalf of Romanian country, but we are here on behalf of a big company from Romania in order to make a business here.
Mulțumim oficialităților dumneavoastră care ne-au invitat în această zi aici.
We thank you, your officials, to invite us over here.
Și totodată suntem fericiți să vă cunoaștem, că sunteți un popor minunat cu un potențial extraordinar.
And we find out you are a very fine nation and we are happy to be here.
În zilele care urmează suntem pregătiți să identificăm oportunități pe care națiunile noastre ar putea să le întrepătrundă.
In the days in the future we are ready to identify the business that we can do here together with you.
Este o provocare pentru noi, suntem prima dată veniți în țara dumneavoastră.
It is a challenge for us. It is first time for us here to visit your great nation.
Și sperăm că în continuare vom avea relații și oportunități deosebite.
And we hope in the future we can have the big opportunity in the business.
Am cunoscut câțiva lideri pe care îi aveți dumneavoastră aici și suntem fericiți să închegăm o relație economice.
We met some leaders here and we are happy to meet them and believe us, they are great leaders for you.
Apreciem antivorbitorul nostru, care este un om de afaceri care este foarte important
We appreciate to meet also the previous speakers. He's a very special gentleman.
Nu ascundem că suntem totodată și invidioși pe poporul dumneavoastră din moment ce a inventat acest parlament de tineri pentru a-și crea viitorul.
We are so envious for you because you have this youth parliament. We don't have this in Romania, and we think is a great things for the future of the country.
Este foarte important să vă creați voi viitorul pentru voi și națiunea voastră.
It is very important because you learn to be great leaders in the future.
Apreciem că și partea feminină este reprezentantă și este foarte important.
And also, as you can see here, also the female part is part of the future of the Nigerian country.
Vă mulțumim frumos și sperăm că în viitor ne vom cunoaște mai bine.
Thank you very much, and maybe in the future we can meet again and know each other better. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We are indeed really grateful to have you. They are from Romania and they are entrepreneurs, and they came. They saw the attitudes and characters of the young parliamentarians, and they were so happy and impressed. And our attitude and characters and behaviors attracted them. And from what I heard, I know we are having some good foreign partners. On Monday, we have the German ambassador and the Russian ambassador here. And now we are having people too from our very good friends from Romania. So definitely, we are growing in leaps and bounds in the international youth movement or youth development affairs. Thank you very much for coming. And ladies, distinguished colleagues, I would like to inform you that we are honored here today to have one of our own. According to the youth policy of Nigeria, a youth is someone within the ages of 18 and 35. And the person I'm about to call, from the last time we checked, I think he's 35, so he's more qualified to be called a youth in every context, according to our policy, according to our culture, any other context. He has done well for himself and Nigeria and the African continent in the automobile world. I'm talking of no other person than Mr. Jelani Aliyu, MFR, one of the designers of, I think it's Ford, sir, if I'm right? Yeah, thank you very much. One of the major designs of Ford, and he's the Director General, National Automotive Design and Development Council of Nigeria. We'll be inviting him to the podium to address the Nigerian Youth Parliament members. Sir, you have the podium. He's one of us, and he's doing quite well. Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, the principal officers, distinguished members of the Nigerian Youth Parliament, it is indeed for me a great honor and pleasure to be here with you today in this distinguished hall. Whenever I get the opportunity to be amongst Nigerians and friends of Nigeria who are truly interested in the future of this country, I am very excited and honored. Thank you for having me here for this invitation. I have always believed in this country. I've always believed in the huge potential that Nigeria has in terms of becoming one of the best countries ever in the world. I left Nigeria some time back, never to get away from it, but so as to have the opportunity to better myself and become an automotive designer in the hopes that one day I'll have the opportunity to come back home and contribute in my little way towards the development of this great nation. I was born in Kaduna. I grew up in Sokoto, and I had always loved cars and drawings, so I thought I'd put the two together to become a car designer. After graduating from FGC Sokoto, I got admitted into University of Lagos and ABU. I thought ABU was a little bit closer to Sokoto, so I went there. Started to study there, but I found out it really wasn't what I wanted. So I transferred to Birnin Kebbi Polytechnic, where I studied architecture. After that, I got admission into the College for Creative Studies in the United States, where I went and studied car design. When I graduated, I was actually making plans to come back excuse me, to Nigeria, to the country I love so much, when General Motors offered me a job. So I decided to stay behind, and as they say, the rest is history. I've worked on a number of very exciting programs, the Chevrolet Silverado, which is a big pickup truck that is actually the #1 income earner for GM. I've worked in Germany for a couple of years for GM, Opel. Worked on the Pontiac G6, which is the vehicle that really brought in a whole new era for Pontiac. But the most exciting program that I worked on was the Chevrolet Volt electric car, which ushered in a whole new era in the automotive industry. Not long after that, a number of other companies started to produce their own electric vehicles. A couple of months ago, I received a phone call from Nigeria that President Muhammadu Buhari had appointed me to lead the National Automotive Design and Development Council. I was very, very thrilled. Now I had the opportunity to come back home and make my contribution. As you're aware, the NADDC, the National Automotive Design and Development Council, has the sole mandate of developing the automotive sector in Nigeria. With a population of over 180 million, we know we have a huge market, and transportation plays a huge role in the development of any society. So this is an opportunity to understand what the challenges are and see how we can build thousands if not millions of vehicles in Nigeria for Nigerians. It is indeed for me a great honor and privilege to be here back home. I always ask myself, who are we? What defines us as a people, as a nation, as Nigerians? What are those characteristics, those passions and priorities that define who we are? If a traveler were to come through and stay a little while with us, spend some time, interact with us, and then move on to their destination, when they get home and they ask about us, how is it that they would describe us? How would he or she talk about us? In the future, when history is written, how would we be recorded? What would be written about us? What contribution would we have by then made to humanity? Ancient Egyptians built the Great Pyramids. The ancient Romans built an empire that spread from Europe into North Africa all the way into Asia. In relatively recent times, the United States sent a man to the moon. Dubai, as we know, is continuously developing real estate and towers that are masterpieces. So when you look around you, what do you see in Nigeria? we are definitely nowhere near where we need to be. Yes, there are challenges, but we cannot be defined by those challenges because we are bigger than them. We must be defined by our dreams and aspirations. We must be defined by what we can achieve. We must be defined by a better tomorrow. Whenever I'm asked to give a presentation, I try as much as possible not to make it academic, but to remind us of who we are and what it is that we can achieve as Nigerians. So once again, what will be our legacy? We are now at a moment in Nigeria's history where we have two options. Either we continue along the path of mediocrity or grab the bull by the horns and usher in a whole new, bold Nigeria. We must usher in a new Nigeria. So imagine, if you may, in the not too distant future, a Nigeria of incredible accomplishments. A Nigeria so advanced that most of the problems we now face would by then have been relegated to the pages of history forever. That Nigeria is not just a possibility, it's an imperative destination, one that we must reach, as it may very well be our only hope for the very survival of our people. Because we have come too far, our history is too rich to have our future threatened by a few artificial problems that we started to experience only in the last 20 to 30 years. And so that magnificence that used to be Nigeria, that used to be Africa, must be brought back. Those powerful capabilities that reside within each and every one of us must be reawakened. And the only way forward is through the private sector, through entrepreneurship, through the provision of goods and services that will add value to the lives of millions of Nigerians. Only by getting up and physically providing solutions can this country move forward. Gone are the days of theory. They haven't saved us before, neither have they any strong relevance today. But we need our concrete, practical endeavors to uplift individuals and whole societies in the country. As you know, we all come from fascinating kingdoms, empires, and cultures that recognize the worth of each and every individual, and as a result, those whole societies prospered. Everyone back then had a trade that they engaged in: farmers, metalsmiths, builders. No one stood idle or waiting for some huge organization or group to offer them a job. In those days, one would spend years learning the practicals of an art or a trade, become an expert, and then offer services directly to the market. I worked for General Motors for quite a while, but not once did they ever ask for my degree certificate. All that company was concerned about was how good a designer I was and what contribution I could make to the growth of that company. I think there is undue importance being given to paper qualifications in Nigeria. It is time we move away from that. It is time now to put emphasis on real knowledge, real emphasis on what is it that an individual can contribute to their society or to the organization that they work for. And so I believe there are a number of things, and there are millions of them, but just a few here that we need to start to look at. I believe we need a complete revolution in the focus of all educational institutions of higher learning. Education must be seen as being about self-enlightenment and self-development. Vocational and entrepreneurial initiatives are not incompatible with traditional tertiary educational institutions. It means that our universities and polytechnics must not just concentrate on theory, but they should begin to look at how do they prepare students so that by the time they come out, they're employable or they are practically knowledge to be able to contribute physically to the development of an economy. We have to introduce exciting new courses in our educational system. Robotics, artificial intelligence, renewable energy, telemedicine, all these exciting new fields around the world that are absent here, they need to be brought into Nigeria. It is never too early to think in an advanced manner. We must believe that individual passion and commitment can make a difference. When you go to become a doctor, you need to have passion in being a medical doctor. When you're an engineer, your passion should be not just to graduate and get a job with a company, but to be able to come up with probably a unique bridge that no matter what, no matter how hot the sun, how extreme the environment, that bridge will always be there. We must go to school to learn how to become experts that will make a difference in the lives of our people. Not just to be qualified and be called a doctor or an engineer or some other profession, but that sincere passion to become someone who will make a contribution to society. I believe we also need innovation center hubs. I'm very fortunate and very glad that when I was growing up, we had the necessary atmosphere at home that allowed me to sit down, think, and grow as an individual. A lot of our youth in the country today don't have that opportunity, don't have that privilege. They spend their days, their lives at motor parks and in markets. So a lot of talent never has the necessary atmosphere to grow. So if we can provide in every neighborhood and if cities and towns a hub where the youth can spend time, a sensitized place where they can go, be mentored, be given advice on career choices, I think that'll go a long way. We were at Honda last Friday, where they launched a whole new vehicle, a new motorcycle in Otta. And this is a factory that has been there since 1979. And as you know, Honda is everywhere. What's fascinating is Honda was founded by a man who had great vision, Soichiro Honda. When he started, it was just with motorized bicycles. But as we all know now, they have some of the most incredible automobiles. But not only that, Honda is now also into robots, artificial intelligence, and even aircraft with the introduction of the Honda Jet. So we must believe in imagination. We must believe that we can get up in the morning and make our lives better. I think that's an element that's sort of missing in Nigeria. We must never underestimate the significance of human imagination, the ability to envision a dramatically positive and dynamic future. Every great city, every monument, every historic feat as it stands for all the world to see was once pure thought, pure imagination acted upon and brought into reality. To imagine is to dream. To dream is to tune into the ever-amazing possibilities of the future. And when we do dream, it must be big. Because to dream small is to totally underestimate the amazing capabilities that lie within each and every one of us. Our own country, this great country, Nigeria. Yes, we have crude oil. Yes, we have natural gas and a wide variety of raw materials. But above all, at our very core, what we have is our humanity, that magical inner spirit that glows from within, that magical inner spirit that makes us an integral and crucial part of the human civilization. And so we must see ourselves, not just as Nigerians, but as members of a global community, sharing constructive ideas, sharing inspirations, and together coming up with solutions for the betterment of humanity worldwide. We as Nigerians must not be afraid of success, but we must, individually and collectively, focus on progressive opportunities and solutions. Those powerful capabilities that reside within each and every one of us must be reawakened. And it all starts in the mind. If you can imagine it and clearly see it, then you can act on it and make it a reality. We must not be defined by our current problems. They are not who we are. We are bigger than them. Like I said, we must be defined by our dreams and aspirations. We must be defined by what we can achieve. We must be defined by a better tomorrow. Nothing is impossible. There are no impossibilities. There is only a better Nigeria to build. Not long after World War II, a very great gentleman by the name of Konosuke Matsushita helped rebuild that country. from the ruins of war. As we all know now, Japan is, a super success story. This is a man who founded Matsushita Electronics. He started with nothing, just a small factory that was him, his wife, and her brother. But by the time he passed away, he had built Panasonic into a $60 billion corporation. And so he was asked what the secret to success was. And he said, the secret to success is not being the most intelligent. It's not coming from the most, the richest family. It's not being the most handsome or beautiful. It's not about going to the best school. So they asked him, you have listed all these things that one would think are, the factors that lead you to become successful. So what is it? He said it's about continuous learning, to never give up. That learning doesn't end when you're done or when you're graduated from school. It's a lifelong journey that continues and makes you better and better. So we have a great country with a lot of potential, and I truly believe the only way forward is through entrepreneurship and the private sector. And I'm very glad that we have young Nigerians here who are the future of this country. You're already the leaders. And I hope that your constituencies would be encouraged to really give all the support that is needed to the young ones so that they understand that an individual can get up in the morning, have focus, and make a difference. So thank you once again for having this opportunity to be here. And I look forward to working even closer with you and with the Parliament to see how we can move this country and make it the best it could ever be. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir. That was so insightful. You've charged us to be creative in our thoughts and change the status quo by engaging more of our creative reasoning. As in, be rest assured that most of us here in the Parliament will do that. We'll collaborate with you to see that we move Nigeria from where it is. As in, and key into the mantra of Mr. President that we manufacture what we consume. And I think automobiles are part of what we really consume here in Nigeria that are useful for us. So, distinguished colleagues from the Democrats, questions? Democrats? Republicans? Yes, Captain.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My name is Honorable Captain Armaya Dalhati Yahuza. I'm representing Zamfara Central. Mr. Jelani, my question goes to you like this. I want to ask if the automobile company you're chairing, and if there is any privilege for the Nigerian youth to benefit a scholarship, because I've been a beneficiary of the scholarship right from the primary level and to my aviation career. And I believe, like you mentioned, your company has a collaboration with other companies. Like I recently read day before yesterday also that you have a recent partnership with a solar company also to boost solar cars, new latest cars. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Honorable Sheme.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My distinguished fellow colleagues, it is my privilege to meet with Jelana Liu, someone that I've been seeing in videos circulating in the Nigeria and all over the world. Sir, my questions, I'm from Kaduna South, sorry to say. My questions go this way. As someone that has achieved a milestone in the world, personal achievement, sir, I want you to address the Nigerian youth, the challenges you face before you reach the level you are now, so that it will be a guiding way for the upcoming generation, sir. Thank you.
Honorable Maruf.
Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, I remain Honorable Maruf Adewale Adesoji, Osun West Senatorial District. Mr. Geniali Aliyu, it's indeed a great pleasure to have you here in our midst this morning. I will align my position with what Honorable Captain Dalhatu has said earlier, with a very big modification. It has been said times without number that as Nigerians we need to move from just technology users to technology creators. And looking within us, we've seen a lot of talent. People who, despite the conditions they find themselves, they still be able to look into their environment and develop technology that applies to their life and make things easier for them. My question is, what are you using? What are you going to do from your office to make sure that the talents we have in Nigeria are discovered and they are properly trained and groomed, incubated, to make sure that they get to the same pedestal that we have here right now? Thank you.
Honorable Hafiza.
Hello, good morning. My name is Hafiz Amande, representing Zamfara State. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Jelani, please, I want to ask you if you have any intention of working with the Ministry of Education to try to improve the curriculum so that young children are groomed to understand what innovation and how it can help them. And then my second question is, have you any intention, when you mentioned trying to open centers for young children all over Nigeria to come and harness their innovation, have you any intention of speaking within your ministry or within your office to try to ensure that you've come up with best ideas on how to meet these people that you've never known and they will never know about your office? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Honorable Nebo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Jelani, I have a question for you. Okay, my name is Honorable Nebo Obina Collins. I'm a member representing Enugu West Senatorial District. My question is that last year I was watching on the NTA International when the Minister of Science and Technology was showing the exhibitions from young Nigerians who are into technological advancements. I saw different technologies, including vehicles that were produced by students and all that. But apart from that last year, there are so many exhibitions that have been done before then. And what I look at is just like university projects we have in Nigeria. After defending the project, they are dumped in a particular part of the departments and nobody used them for anything. So what can your office do in collaboration with the Ministry of Science and Technology to ensure that some of these innovations are commercialized for Nigerian consumption? Let's use our local market for test run some of them for our local consumption, which also help to curb the issue of unemployment and also put Nigeria in the limelight of technological developing nations. I would like to know what your office can do, and if it's necessary, what the parliament can also do in support to ensure that this is brought to the limelight. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The answer, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for all the very, very exciting questions. One of the things that NADDC will soon be embarking on in terms of identifying all these great talents across the country is we're looking at an automotive design and innovation competition. We're working on that, and we should have that soon, launched soon. But it has to do with, giving a competition out there to all Nigerians to design two types of vehicles, two categories. And then we'll take the winning entries to our Zaria office, which is our research and development give it all the necessary support to develop it into functional prototype that then we could bring in the private sector, either sell licenses or put together a PPP. But that's one of the things we're looking at doing so that we give Nigerians that platform to showcase how good they are. We are also strategizing to see how we could set up a specific automotive design and innovation institute where young Nigerians can go and become professional automotive innovators and designers to feed the manufacturers in Nigeria and to also feed the foreign manufacturers that are looking at providing product for Nigeria. Because, for example, when I worked at GM, this is a multinational company, has operations in the United States, South America, India, Korea, South Korea. And wherever GM produces vehicles, they mostly go in there, identify the citizens of that country, and they're part of the research and development of the products being made in that country by GM. So I'm looking at the future where companies like Honda or BMW, when they plan vehicles for Nigeria, would have a pool of Nigerian designers that would be the ones to design those vehicles for Nigeria and Africa. So these are some of the things we're looking at doing to really identify and boost local talent in Nigeria. The question on personal achievement and the challenges, nothing in life is easy. There are always challenges. The biggest challenge really I had was, first I wanted to study something that no one really knew about. There were very few people who understood that vehicles at that time needed to be designed and then manufactured. So when I talked about I wanted to become a car designer, I did not get all the support from all the sectors that I needed. But luckily, right there at home, the core, the core important people believed in what I wanted to do and gave me the necessary support. And then I had to travel to the United States, a whole different culture, a whole different place, not a friend or relative right there. So that was also a challenge, not to talk of the cold. Growing up in Sokoto, very hot, going to Michigan, one of the coldest places in the world. But I remember one day coming back from classes, walking back to the hostel, and I was very, very homesick. I just wanted to dump everything and come back to Sokoto. It was night, so I looked up and I saw a full moon, big full moon, beautiful. And it occurred to me that whoever put that moon up there was the same one that put that moon, was the same moon that I saw in Sokoto. So I knew that Allah was in Sokoto and He was over there and He was with me all the time. Another big challenge was really the school itself, because everybody wanted to go into car design. It was very competitive. And you really had to be on the top of your game to be admitted. So the competition was fierce. There were people from America, most of them, but there were people also from other parts of the world that were at school and wanted to become car designers. So there was really no time for any social activity. It was just homework and assignments throughout. But it was very rewarding. So question number 3 is similar to the first one, talent search. How do we boost the talent in Nigeria? The one on curriculum, I think that's very important. Right now, my agency, NADDC, does not have that mandate of generally working to, influence the curriculum. But this is something that I'm personally very interested and committed to. And I think I will definitely look into that to see how I can influence that reorientation in the educational sector. And if there's any support or partnership that could be done with the Parliament, I'm really very open to see how we can move that forward. Because, like I said, education is key, and it has to be done the right way. It has to be about identifying individual talents and giving those individuals the necessary support to develop themselves. When I mentioned the centers that need to be set up, I wasn't referring to NADDC doing that, because that's not our mandate. Whenever I talk to Nigerians, I talk in 2 capacities, as DG NADDC and as a very concerned and passionate Nigerian who really wants to see development brought to all sectors in the country. So I'm personally committed to work with all the relevant stakeholders and parties in Nigeria to see how this could be achieved in terms of getting these centers across the country. So again, I'm very willing to work closely with the Parliament and all stakeholders to see how this could be initiated and done. Yes, on the last question, number 5, we do have a lot of talented people in universities and polytechnics at home that come up with a lot of great ideas that end up on the shelf, nothing happens to them, even though the problems continue to pile up in society. So what needs to be done is really to see how a platform could be put together that would be sort of a matchmaking initiative to bring together these great ideas with investors. I think investment shouldn't just be in the typical businesses that we're familiar with. We need to begin to look at angel investments and how not just the government but other private institutions can really understand and acknowledge the power of ideas and how they could be developed to bring solutions to society. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. I would like to quickly ask you this. I don't know if you are aware of a young man from Niger State. I thought the Niger State caucus would have brought this up. There was a time we were invited for a program, and he did an exhibition. I think he constructed a car from with wood, and it's a very nice one. I believe he's going to do well in the luxury market. I don't know if you've met him. I saw him on TV too, at an exhibition with the Ministry of Science, Federal Ministry of Science and Technology. I just want to know if you've had an inkling of this young man that did that in Niger State, Minna particularly.
Yes, I remember when that story broke, and I hope there's someone here or that we know that can help coordinate so that we can meet this bright gentleman. Okay.
Sir, could you please, was that a question?
Yes, if there's someone here that can help facilitate us.
Yes, I can, sir.
Okay.
Yes, and
Yes.
he is in charge, as in we got his number, he's from the States. I think he can too.
Okay. Okay, that's good.
All right, thank you very much, sir. As
My
in
pleasure.
we would
My pleasure.
continue from here and we would facilitate you meeting with the guy. Thank you for coming, sir.
Thank you.
Distinguished colleagues, thank you very much for your patience and attention. I would like to quickly announce that we have in our midst Deaconess Barrister Isabella Eloba, the Director of Committees of the Senate. She was sent in by the President of the Senate to come and give us a goodwill message, check what we are doing and report back, because we might likely be having the Senate and the President of the Senate today. So she left the chamber because she feels it's very important for her to deliver this message, say a few words before she goes. So to our other invited guests, please kindly be patient with us. Once we are done with this, it's very important that we quickly take a Deaconess, please.
What's the time? Good afternoon, distinguished senators, honorable members. Because you're now members of parliament and you came here on that capacity, I am privileged to be among your mix, and I left the Senate section and I was mandated to put in few words to you people. I know this youth parliament, any opportunity you are given to serve, I believe you are choosing from your different constituencies, at least 3 persons from each senatorial district. What you are doing here may seem to be funny. Some people might look at it as a play, you know, but it's not a play, it's not for play, it's very, very real. Because one day, some of you will be here. Most of you will not have intention of becoming politicians, but this, you're coming to the parliament and assuming the responsibility of parliamentarians. You will start thinking along that line, and you will start appreciating what they do in parliament. I send you greetings from the Senate, and I send you greetings from the President of the Senate. They are all aware of what is happening here, and they also send their greetings. And I wish to encourage you to think outside the box when you leave this environment. And also try to organize yourself and think of things that are done here that you think are not done properly. Because as the clerk of committees and director of committees, some senators that left, because I'm in the Senate, I have a colleague in the House of Reps. Some senators came here, within 4 years they think they will come back. But after 4 years they discovered they are not coming back. And the things they thought they would have done, they didn't do it. So it means that they were procrastinating. I want you to look down any activity that is done in the parliament. You look at it, analyze it, criticize it, put it somewhere at the back of your mind, and have a hope that one day you will find yourself in the parliament and you are coming to right the wrongs, because there are certain things that we are doing here that are not correct. So I want you to put up your thinking cap and think about the future and what the future will bring to this nation. And I'm aware that you're about to form committees, you resolve into committees. And as a director of committees, I want you to have an idea what you're going to do, what committee stands for. You know, is a micro of a macro committee, because the plenary session is the macro committee. The committees at different level are delegated to do the function of the bigger committee. In other words, you have the committee of the whole Senate. In the committee of the whole Senate, do I have time? Okay. You have the committee of the whole Senate. In the committee of the whole Senate, it is when bills, resolutions referred to committees are being considered. The Senate will resolve into a committee of the whole. In the Senate, the President of the Senate presides. In the House of Representatives, the Deputy Speaker presides. And at that time, whatever they discuss, anything, that time they don't call the President of the Senate President, because it's not at the plenary. They call him Chairman, because they have resolved to committee of the whole, where he now takes the responsibility of the chairman of all the chairmen sitting there in the chambers. So you discover that the committees play a very, very vital function in the parliament. It's like the committees are the wheels of the parliament. You can have a driver, you have a car, you have a driver, that car does not have wheels, there is no way you will drive it. The committees drive the activities of the parliament. Without the committees, it's like you are now sitting down here, it's like you're in a plenary session. And there is no way you can discuss anything that concerns the 40-something committees you are going to form. and you now think you sit down here and discuss it. It is not possible. It means that days will roll and nothing will be achieved. And that is the essence of, subjecting the committee of the whole into subsessions, into committees, standing committees. And I'm aware you have formed a special committee. The special committees, they are assigned to do specific duties that has to do with the running of the parliament. At least some of you know the Rules and Business Committee, you know the Selection Committee, because that's the first committee that come into section when at the inauguration of any parliament. They have a selection committee, and the selection committee is made up of the principal officers of the Senate or House of Representatives. And they are now the ones that select the people that will represent in different, either special committees or standing committees. The special committees come into existence 2 weeks after the inauguration of the Senate, so that they have vital roles to play. Because you have the Senate Service Committee. The Senate Service Committee ensures that the welfare of the senators are met, because they are just, most of them are JJC, they are just coming. The old ones are very few in most cases, but the new ones need to be shown the way and how they should, get the requirements, the basic requirements they need in the parliament, like offices, housing, allowances, and all the rest of it. It is Senate Service Committee or House Service Committee that does that. Then the Rules and Business, they make sure that the things that comes out in the other paper that are deliberated at the plenary session. Then you have another special committee that has to do with intelligence. Because of the nature of security in this country, Intelligence Committee is one of the special committees. So I want to, urge you people, whatever you are doing here, please take it serious. The committees that is going to be formed are their standing committees. And these standing committees represent, the MDAs, that is the ministry, departments, and agencies. And they oversee the activities of these agencies and ensure that they meet, the requirements when it has to do with the budget. Any environment they have to make, they have to revert back to the Senate to get approval for it. So anything, on during oversight function, the Senate and the House of Reps, they have been given explicit powers in the Constitution to investigate on any matter. Any matter, they have wide powers. So that's the standing committees. You also have ad hoc committees. Ad hoc committees, they operate. You always have ad hoc committee on investigative matters. They operate within the period, the time frame they were given, and at the end of that investigation, that committee will cease to exist. Then you have joint committees when 2 or 3 committees have similar function to play in a particular activity they are supposed to play, like anything that has to do with agric and drugs. They have to put committee on drugs and committee on agric, and one of the committees will be a lead committee. Then you have then the committee of the standing and the special committee. So as you are moving into committees now, I just want to give you, these are some of the secondary things you need to know. And I am so delighted to be in your midst. I didn't know I was going to come here. If I had known, at least I would have prepared a package document that you will go with. But that notwithstanding, I will leave my email address. If you have anything to chat or discuss with me, please feel free to tell me, because I'm so impressed to have you in this. I'm so impressed to be in your midst, and I think it's a privilege. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ma. Yeah. We were really educated with that presentation, and we would like to call on the minority leader to convey the special greetings of the Parliament to you and the President of the Senate and the Senate as well.
Thank you very much.
The Minority Leader.
Right Honorable Speaker, my amiable colleagues, Obande Gideon is my name. I represent the good, bad, and ugly youth of Benue South Senatorial Zone.
Which?
I said Benue South Senatorial Zone.
How do you put this thing so that I can hear? Okay, go ahead.
We are delighted that you are here, and we are happy that the Senate have often treated us as their own beloved. I wish to tell you that the counsel you've given us, we will walk by, and I wish to say categorically that the leadership of the Parliament, with the entire Parliament, will always stand by the National Assembly and by the President of the Senate at all times. We are believers of the fact that there is an evolution in leadership, and we are believers of the fact that the legislative will continue to balance the executive to ensure that we have a credible democracy. And we will tell you that at any time we are called upon to discharge our duties as it affects standing by the institution called the National Assembly, will always be there. While we expect and wait patiently as his children to have him amidst us at any time he decides to come. We'll be very delighted if he can make it before our sitting is done for the day. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Obande, and thank you very much, Ma. We have a special request to as a Parliament that you should please use your good office to ensure that the youth are properly captured in the 2018 budget. There has been arguments, debates cropping up on that issue, but we know you are a mother to us and you have the listening ears too of those that matter in this aspect. So please, we would like the youth interest to be properly captured, because a nation that does not treat the youth well, a nation that does not invest in the youth, as in is heading for an automatic doom. So we don't want that our country to gravitate towards that. We should nip it at the bud at the moment. So this is our special request to you, Ma. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you.
We are
And
honored to
I
have
want to
you.
say something, please. And I think that at the end of the session of this assembly, you people will come up with a communique. And that communique will address issues that affect the youth. Okay, it is you that wear the shoe and you know where it pinches. If you want, there's no way you can straighten a deck chair in a Titanic. The Titanic is already sunk. So you cannot go there to strengthen it. So all you need to do is to articulate your views together. There is Senate Committee on Youth Development and in the House of Representatives. You have to start from somewhere. And when it gets to my table, I will ensure that what you people are looking for, if it is amending any existing act of Parliament, or it is getting entirely new bill that address the issues of the youth, then consider I will be part of it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Before we go, in our practice as Parliament, we would like the Parliament to give a standing ovation in our honor and the honor of the President of the Senate. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Please, you can sit down.
Thank you very much, Ma.
Yeah, all my children. Like I always tell the clerks, I have 69 clerks in the Senate. And they are all my children. Because God has given me opportunity to work with them. Now God has given me opportunity to see these beautiful and handsome faces. I will still do the same. I consider you extension of my children. Thank you very much. You're welcome. Thank you.
Yes, she's the mother of our own clerk too. both the former and the new one. The Deputy Speaker, could you please escort her back to the Senate? Thank you very much, distinguished guests. We will now have distinguished members. We will now have Comrade Jennifer Besson, Head of Department Education, Information Research, Public and International Relations, Nigerian Union of Local Government Employees. Thank you very much. I'm going to send it.
The Right Honorable Speaker, Principal Officers, distinguished members, gentlemen of the press, ladies and gentlemen. I am here this afternoon on behalf of the National President of the Nigerian Union of Local Government Employees, Comrade Ibrahim Kale, MNI, who is unavoidably absent. My duty this afternoon is just simple, to give an address on Local Government Autonomy Bill, benefits to the Nigerian youth. It is with great pleasure that I stand before you all to give an address on Local Government Autonomy Bill, benefits to the Nigerian youth. I think it is very pertinent that before we look at the benefits of the bill, we first and foremost remind ourselves...
Sorry to interrupt you. Sorry to interrupt you, ma. Honorable Jallo, please, I'll appoint you as an acting chief whip till the chief whip comes back. As in, you have to work on the conduct of our people and their movement. Thank you very much. You may proceed, ma'am.
We first and foremost remind ourselves of the reasons why local governments were created. Some of these reasons include to bring government closer to the rural people and provide opportunity for them to participate in the affairs of governance and politics, to mobilize and train the rural people in the act of carrying out responsibilities and leadership, establishment of a link between the rural people, states, and central governments, provision of employment and participation in community development projects for the preservation of our local customs, history, and traditions, giving the rural people a strong opportunity of control over their own affairs. Hence, the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, in its fourth schedule, clearly spelled out the functions of local governments, even though such functions have been hijacked by state governments. They are: the main functions of a local government council are as follows. A, consideration and the making of recommendations to a state commission on economic planning or any other similar body on the economic development of the state, particularly insofar as the areas of authority of the council and of the state are affected. Proposal made by the said commission or body, collection of rates, radio and television licenses, establishment and maintenance of cemeteries, burial grounds and homes for the destitute or infirmed, licensing of bicycles, trucks other than mechanical propelled trucks, canoes, wheelbarrows, and carts. Establishment, maintenance, and regulation of slaughterhouses, slaughter slabs, markets, motor parks, and public conveniences. Construction and maintenance of roads, streets, street lightings, drains, and other public highways, parks, gardens, open spaces, or public facilities as may be prescribed from time to time by the House of Assembly of a state. naming of roads and streets and numbering of houses, provision and maintenance of public conveniences, sewage and refuse disposal, registration of all births, deaths, and marriages, assessment of privately owned houses or tenements for the purpose of levying such rates as may be prescribed by the House of Assembly of a state, and control and regulation of outdoor advertising and hoarding, movement and keeping of pets of all description, shops and kiosks, restaurants, bakeries, and other places for sale of food to the public, laundries and licensing, regulation and control of the sale of liquor. The functions of a local government council shall provide participation of such council in the government of a state as respects the following matters: the provision and maintenance of primary, adult, and vocational education, the development of agriculture and natural resources other than the exploitation of materials, the provision and maintenance of health services, and such other functions as may be conferred on a local government council by the House of Assembly of a state. Despite the above functions, you will agree with me that we are all suffering from neglect and underdevelopment. Local governments today are seen and regarded as a place for poverty alleviation and compensation of political talks and allies. This now brings us to the issue of the bill, which is intended to address the inability of local governments to function as a tier of government. The key issues are lack of administrative, financial, and political autonomy, conduct of local government by state independent election commissions instead of independent National Election Commission, abolition of joint accounts and allocation committee, relegation of traditional institutions. This also leads us to the benefits of the bill to the Nigerian youth. This bill will not benefit only the Nigerian youth, but Nigeria as a whole. Hence, I would like at this juncture to express our profound gratitude to the Red and Green Chambers for having the interests of the teeming Red Raiders at heart. They have shown that they are in support of development at the grassroots by passing this bill. It is our desire that this time around the state assemblies will follow suit and not allow the enemy of progress to dictate to them. It is only sensible to agree with me that if local governments are allowed to function without undue interference, they will definitely be able to invest in viable projects and generate more funds for the development of the communities. It is the lack of infrastructure and development that is responsible for urban-rural migration, and we find people living in slums. Functional local governments will be able to mobilize and empower the youth in self-generating and small-scale development projects. This will make the youth become self-sufficient, and this goes on, and as time goes on, he too can become an employer of labor, just like the past speakers have hammered enough on that. Evidence has shown that most of the richest men in the world did not become rich through white-collar jobs, but through their own ingenuity and discovery of self-potentials. Local governments can also collaborate with non-governmental organizations within their areas of concern to create job opportunities, construction, operation and maintenance of viable infrastructures and projects that will better the lives of the people. Youth have the opportunity of being groomed for leadership position and can contribute as a decision maker in formulating policies and programs that are beneficial to the rural community. You should not be decision makers during periods of elections only, when peanuts are distributed to them with weapons of destruction. They should be able to use the available opportunities at the local government to develop themselves, for when one youth is killed during election, he can never be replaced, neither would the so-called godfather remember such a youth nor his family. In the light of the foregoing, I humbly request that you support the Nigerian Union of Local Government Employees on this struggle for local government autonomy, because it is for the benefit, our benefit, and our own development. I wish you all peaceful deliberations. Thank you and God bless.
Yeah, thank you very much, Ma. We've listened to you and we listened to the benefits that can be derived from the passage of the National State Houses of Assembly's passage of the Local Government Autonomy Bill. As in, distinguished colleagues, any questions on this? Honorable Agbanashi Ubine.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Agbanashi Obine is my name. I am from Delta State. I want to ask three very important questions. One, you said when this bill become a law and local governments in Nigeria become autonomous, they will now have more funds in the local government system. And funds to the local governments will be readily available, for the execution of projects. Now I want to ask, or you tell us, because I know that in this country, when they go for what they call a FAC, I don't know if I'm correct, monies are being shared to local government, tiers of government, states, and federal government. Then in some local governments and in some states in this country, states with what they have also add to what local governments have collected to pay things like teachers or local government workers. So what or how will the magic now happen once autonomy is given to a local government system? Two, you also said that youth will become self-sufficient and employers of labor once you people get this autonomy you want by all means. I want you to also enlighten us so that when we go back home, we can authoritatively tell our youth to come out in a mass to support this move. How will our youth become self-sufficient if you now have autonomy? And how will local governments, with the funds they get from IGRO and from what they get from what they share here in Abuja, begin to execute projects? Thank you very much.
Honorable Prince Adetayo.
Mr. Speaker, please, I crave your indulgence. Let me take the questions as they come.
Oh, all right. Please do.
On the issue of allocation, I want you to understand that when they go for FAC, the allocation that is supposed to go to the local government councils do not go to them directly. It goes through a joint account called Joint Account and Allocation Committee, JAC. When the money gets to that account, it is supposed to be operated by the state and local government. The state government hijack the account. All they do is they ask the various local government councils, what is your wage bill? And they claim this money is put into a pool. From that pool, each local government gets its salary. After the salary payment, sometimes they are giving peanuts to run the affairs of the councils. When you hear development at the local government, the state government will say these projects are joint projects. They do all forms of deduction from that same amount you see on papers. Council 1, you will hear gets 140 million. But what actually gets to the council sometimes is less than 50 million. Again, when you go to the state government, every month, for instance, in Abia State, I worked in Abia State as a state secretary. In Abia State, their local government gets lists from the government. This list comes under the guise of stakeholders in each local government. And the council is meant to pay those stakeholders. What is the function of the stakeholders in the local government? You call them stakeholders and you pay from there. Local government is supposed to own this allocation. But when the money comes, the Constitution says local government is only to participate in primary school education. But what we have today is local government is actually responsible for the payment of primary school teachers. That is what you find. When this allocation comes, the state government will deduct primary school teachers' salary first. They made it first charge. They will deduct. What actually remains from that local government funds cannot even take the salaries of the local government workers who are the actual beneficiaries of that money. And that is why you find that across the country today, you have indebtedness being owed the local government workers. And now we are saying, because even the past, during the Babangida era, when these monies were coming directly, projects were being funded. They were. As a local government chairman, you have no reason to collect allocation and you will not pay the workers. People were on ground, the traditional rulers were on ground to find out how much actually came to the council. How is this money distributed? We have projects for the youth. We have projects for the women. We have projects for even the children. It's not just the issue of 27 May or 1st October celebration. Seminars were being conducted. Projects were being conducted where the youth were actually involved. If opportunities are created, the youth can also demand the money that came to our local government. How was this money actually distributed and spent? You don't sit down when this money comes, it goes through the state makes their own deduction under the issue of security, under rural development, rural electrification. What happens to the functions of local governments? Do local government not have their own functions as spelled out in the Constitution? How do you expect a local government chairman to carry out those functions? In the first instance, you did not allow local government elections to take place. You sit down up there and you select who to mount a local government. Check across the states. How many states have actually done local government elections? Was it the wishes of the people that those who claim to be elected are elected? Do they reflect the true meaning of elections? We have people who are singly being handpicked by godfathers, who are singly being handpicked by their loyalists, because I put you there, I detect to you what happens. And if you don't do my bidding, I know how to throw you out. That is what we find today. You know it, that those who are popular and are ready to work for the masses do not have the opportunity to do so. They do not. You have a local government council, a council chairman, you don't even know where he lives. Because he has to stay closer to the government at the center, who will dictate to him what he should do. If he were elected, the people in that rural area will ask him, we elected you to be here to serve us and not to be at the headquarters. What are you doing there? Even in Malaysia, the rural people have a say. Before you do a project, you come and meet with us. You hold town hall meetings to find out what are our problems, which ones serve as priorities. How do we go about them? Who are those to be engaged? We do this. How many local governments today can boast of even agri farms? They are not there. Because even the areas where the local governments are supposed to generate from, like I rightly spelled out here, have all been hijacked. Local governments today do not collect tenement rates. The slabs are given to political talks and allies. Go out and find out. The councils are just empty. They are just empty. If you work for me, the next place I look for, how do I settle you? I go to the local government and pick one item, a revenue item that is supposed to come for the development of the council, and I give it to somebody. Go out to Utako Market right now and know how many women are being beaten up every day under the guise of taxes. You have multiple taxes which these women are all suffering. You have them. Because A will come, he is coming from this chairman, this one is coming from government, and then they are collecting taxes. If you cannot pay, you are beaten up. Some of us, our parents are all there suffering what I am talking about. But if this money comes to the council, we will be able to sit down, to hold town hall meetings, and ask ourselves, how are we going to develop our rural areas so that this urban shift will actually reduce? Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Ma. We are really grateful, and we hope to work and partner with you on the actualization of this. Thank you very much. And our special parliamentary greetings to the national president when he's back from his trip. Yes. Thank you very much, Ma. Distinguished colleagues, I'd like to introduce to us today Honorable Doye Diri, Distinguished Honorable Doyediri is a member of the House of Representatives, member representing Kolokuma Yenegua Federal Constituency. He is a very senior colleague that have the interest of the Nigerian Youth Parliament at heart, so he has come to observe our plenary session as an honorary observer and to just give us a goodwill message. So far, we have suspended our rules, and immediately after, we will be going into an executive session. Thank you very much. Distinguished sir, we have your goodwill message and comments for the Nigerian Youth Parliament.
Mr. Speaker, my very honorable colleagues, I greet you all. As introduced, my name is, on the floor, I will always have a way of introducing my name. It's like a signature. And everybody, including the media, will echo. And I do it this way. My name is Diri Doye, representing the wonderful people of Yenagua, Kolokuma, Opokuma Federal Constituency of Bayelsa State. First, let me commend Mr. Speaker and my very honorable colleagues for what I've just seen in these few minutes that I sat here. I have been hearing of this parliament, and I never would have thought that it was something as organized that is equal to the parliament in the House of Representatives or in the Senate. The debate I've just witnessed, the presentation I've just witnessed speaks volumes. And I think if I have the time, it means that I can even come in here surreptitiously and sit quietly to observe your debates. There can be no other institution to build our young people with cognitive knowledge, not theoretical. This is cognitive knowledge. A lot of us have the theory of parliament, particularly those of us who have gone to the school to read law, to read political science. We fill our brains with a lot of theories. But I can tell you that having studied political science, what I studied in the classroom in the university is different from what I see in parliament on the floor. And I think that this is a grooming ground. This is a place that will produce future parliamentarians that will have an understanding and a grasp of what Parliament is all about. I urge you to keep it up and urge you to interface with other countries where necessary, so that you will be well grounded and groomed by the time you are being elected into either the state parliament or the national parliament of this country. I bring goodwill messages, not only from my constituency, but from the house where I operate. As one of the very few voices in the house, I bring you goodwill messages and urge you to keep this on and keep the Nigerian youths busy to think positively, to impact the development of Nigeria through this that you have found yourselves to do. Thinking positive and reasoning positive is a very powerful tool that will liberate your mind, that will keep you at check at every time you want to go astray. And if you think positively and do what is right, you will impact not only yourself, you will impact your immediate environment. And I'm sure that we are going to produce future speakers, future presidents of the Senate, future members of the state and national assemblies. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you, most distinguished senior colleague. As in, we are very grateful to have you around. Before you go, we would like to call on Honorable Hati Moses to give the goodwill message and the special parliamentary greetings of the Nigerian Youth Parliament to you and by extension to the members, distinguished honorable members of the House of Representatives. Honorable Hati Moses.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker, and welcome to this Alut Chamber, our national representative. Once again, I remain my humble self, Honorable RTJ Moses, member representing Bayelsa West Notorial District at the Nigerian Youth Parliament and also the South South Caucus Secretary of the Nigerian Youth Parliament. In addition, I'm also the Special Assistant to the Bayelsa State Governor on Student Affairs. Well, sir, firstly, I want to thank you for your effective representation at the National Assembly and your support towards youth development in Bayelsa State. Then secondly, I want to sincerely urge you to liaise with our national representative because it is said that charity begins at home. The Nigerian Youth Parliament has not been receiving the necessary or the needed support in Bayelsa State. And I put it categorically that there was a day that the senator from Bayelsa State told me that he's not concerned about Nigerian Youth Parliament or about anything concerning youth. And I was very, very disappointed because this is someone that belongs to the same party like me. And lastly, I want to also thank you because you are our only national representative that is close to the Nigerian Youth Parliament, out of all from the Senate to the House of Reps. And I want to urge you to keep up the good work and not forgetting the arguments of them supporting Nigerian Youth Parliamentarians in Bayelsa State because we have been neglected for a very long time. Please, we need our support. Once again, thank you for coming, sir. My name is RTJ Moses.
I love you. He is very articulate and very militant in nature. Distinguished parliamentarians, please, it is not money, it is card. Distinguished Honorable Sanusi, please move a motion for us to dissolve into an executive session.
Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, may I move a motion for us to move into executive session?
Thank you very much. Seconder, Deputy Minority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, my honorable colleagues, I second the motion. Thank you.
If you are in support of the motion, say aye. Aye. And if you are against, say no. The ayes have it. The Sergeant at Arms, please ensure that only Nigerian Youth Parliament members remain in this chamber for the executive session. Let every other person please excuse us. The parliamentarians should please move closer. Irrespective of party. No, don't worry. We can leave the live streaming. We will not use the microphone. Please come forward, everybody.
all members outside should come in. Honorable members,
order in the house, please.
just leave that one first. We'll finish our sitting.
Please, order in the house.
The majority leader.
The members outside, please, should come in.
Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I move that this House revert back to plenary. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I so second.
If you are in support, say aye. And if you are against, say no. The ayes have it. The majority leader.
Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, may I move that we suspend all our relevant rules to allow the representative of the Senior Special Assistant to the President of Youth and Student Affairs to make his presentation. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The minority leader.
Mr. Speaker, you know the Republican Party. Sometimes we need to rediscuss when new majorities bring your decisions. However, I so second.
If you are in support, say aye. And if you are against, say no. The ayes have it. My leader, Comrade Charles Ofemi, you are invited to the podium.
Is one? Can I go on? Yeah. Mr. Speaker, distinguished honorable members, before I take the speech of my principal, Honorable Saidu Nasiru Adhama, who I'm studying in for today, I want to sincerely tender apology on behalf of my principal, who is absent here today. He somewhat believes in the Nigerian Youth Parliament. He actually understands the weight, the strength, the power of the Nigerian Youth Parliament. And I can tell you, he will do everything to remain your friend and a partner, of course, in the development of Nigeria, our fatherland. I want to say, he strongly believes that the Nigerian Youth Parliament is not just a parliament of young people, but as well, the future member of the Senate and House of Representatives of Nigeria. So, why is the current essay to the President of Youth and Student Affairs? Imagine him becoming minister when the Honorable Speaker will now become the Speaker of the House of Representatives. So we have to start to build, of course, good relationship. Please accept his apology for unable to make it to this place. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Permit me to take his speech right as it was given to me from the office. This is the keynote speech delivered by the Special Assistant to the President of Youth and Student Affairs, Honorable Nasiru Sahidu Adama, who is unavoidably absent, and delivering this to the third sitting of the third session of the Nigerian Youth Parliament. Mr. Speaker, members of the principal officers of the Parliament, especially my dear friend, the majority leader of the Nigerian Youth Parliament. And one time my landlord, when I was, of course, observing my NYC in Bayelsa State. Honorable member, distinguished honorable members, distinguished guests, worthy observers, gentlemen of the press, ladies and gentlemen, with all humility and great sense of responsibility, I wish to appreciate the opportunity, and I'm indeed glad to be here. I must commend the efforts of the leadership and members of this session of the Nigerian Youth Parliament, as you have conducted yourselves in a peaceful and progressive manner, and have built on the sources of the previous session of the Nigerian Youth Parliament. And I can say my office has enjoyed smooth relationship with the Nigerian Youth Parliament. I am expected to mention the development of Nigerian youth and the progress so far. I am deeply honored to be given the opportunity to give this brief keynote speech on a matter I feel very passionate about. However, I believe we cannot assess our progress without looking back at where we were and the challenges ahead, and of course, the hope for the future. Commendation has to be given to our teeming Nigerian youth, who for long have had to undergo untold sufferings and still exercise patience, which I promise will yield a positive result very soon, and I'm sure we will all laugh last. Nigerian youth have been facing challenges ranging from unemployment, poor education, insecurity, violence, corruption, and all forms of social vices that have negatively affected our political, economy, and social development. In view of the dire times the Nigeria and the country is facing in times of economic and political challenges, the patriotism and committed service of citizens are more than ever needed. We must know that each time we recite the national pledge, we should find new sense of obligation and responsibility to our states and our country. Don't forget, we pledge to Nigeria, our country, to be faithful, loyal, and honest, to serve Nigeria with all our strength, to defend our unity and uphold our honor and glory. According to John Michael, patriotism means more than holding our hands over our hearts during the recitation of the national anthem. It means more than walking in a voting booth every 4 years and pulling a lever. Patriotism is a love and a duty, a love of country expressed in good citizenship. The Office of the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Youth and Student Affairs is doing everything necessary with the mandate of President Muhammadu Buhari to shift its role from being just a youth and student mobilization office to youth and student empowerment office. We have initiated programs and built partners across board to empower the youth and students and to relieve their needs. Some of the partnerships established in these regards are the United Nations Industrial Development Organization, the Office of the United Nations Secretary General Envoy on Youth, the Green Park Worldwide, the United Kingdom, the Huawei Technology Limited Programs, the European Union Commission Delegation, various embassies and High Commission Nigeria, Central Bank of Nigeria, and of course, Bank of Agriculture. The President Muhammadu Buhari-led administration is putting together all efforts to alleviate the situation of the youths and students through various interventions. Programs such as the N-Power, N-Build, N-Agro, N-Tax, N-Earth, One Youth, One Mentor programs, the ICT for Change, the Digital Job Nigerian, the Workers Academy and Vocational Empowerment Programs, and of course the Unity Challenge. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I have no doubt that youth will continue to play their roles towards the actualization of the change agenda of this administration. led by President Muhammadu Buhari, and also the Sustainable Development Agenda, loyalty to our country must be constant. Of course, loyalty to leaders when they deserve it. If there must be change, the youth must be the driver of the change. If there must be peace, the youth must be the advocate of peace. We must galvanize and direct our energy to drive the economy and political system of our country to a promised land. We must always remember that government is not completed without the citizens. We must play our part as citizens in line with the Section 29 of the Nigerian 1999 Constitution as amended. We should heed to the warning of Mahatma Gandhi to his countrymen and women about the 8 deadly monsters. This is the area of concentration for the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari to ensure Nigerians get rid of the deadly monsters, which are wealth without work, pleasure without conscience, knowledge without character, commerce without morality, science without humanity, worship without sacrifice, politics without principle, and of course, rights without responsibility. Let's shun these deadly monsters and embrace our national value as a country as embedded in the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Nigeria is the property of every citizen. Thus, we must embrace and appreciate such a reality. No one will build a Nigerian for us. Nigeria will be built by all of us. I congratulate you all for the success of today's sitting. And I want to thank you, and God bless. Thank you very much.
The representative of the SA, we appreciate you for coming, and we appreciate the special assistant too for coming. And I would like to give just two, one Democrat and one Republican. Let's start with the Republican, Honorable Obande Gideon, Minority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, my honorable colleagues, the SSA to Mr. President, ably represented by my brother, my friend, Comrade Charles Ofemi, whom coincidentally I happen to be his speaker at the Youth Reform Conference. Mr. SSA, sir, I wish to tell you that the Republican Party in recent time have been growing so much that we don't know, maybe soon the Republican Party may grow to become the majority party of the House. As much as your landlord, when you were in Bayelsa, the majority leader may be threatened by this development. The realities of the parliament is something we must always face. It is normal for the executive and the legislative to often exchange blows sometimes. It is part of what makes the beauty of democracy, the beauty of governance, and interrelation of the three arms of government. I want to tell you that there is no beloved of the parliament like yourself, because whether you've been present in person or not, there have been degrees of contribution independently to ensure that the activities of the parliament has been moving. But you agree with me that it is normal that for every teething child, when the presence of the father is not always seen, it is normal to get so adapted to the mother. And when the father stretches forth his hands to carry this child and the child refuses, it is not because the child does not recognize the fact that it's a father, but the child is trying to say, I want to see you more often around at home. I want to wake up and see you. I want to go to bed and see you. The Nigerian Youth Parliament will always be supportive of the office of the SSC on youth and student matters.
But we want to often see our father, our brother, that have been appointed as our foster father around in all our function, in all our activities. And when he cannot come, please let him keep sending you, because there won't be a better representation than your humble self standing. We address you today by your name, but a lot of us know that you are not just you, but you are our leader also. But I want to convey to you the position of my amiable party, that we were not happy. We may not totally appear happy, but I want you to know that as it stands now in our heart, we are okay that you came and you have represented yourself. But you will further do better when you come in the evening during our gala night to interact with us and possibly have a one-on-one, a tete-a-tete with you, so that we can have a better understanding of the factors militating against your office. And where there is need, we can lend you our voice to amplify your plight before the powers that be, so that the office can function in full capacity. However, it is our prayer that the government of President Muhammadu Buhari, that the parliament will continue to support the anti-corruption fight that we will continue to crusade for. And reminding you that at times when we were not called upon, like the time of the xenophobia, we were there to stand and defend this nation. Like the time of the fuel subsidy, we were there to defend this nation. These are indices to tell you that we are partners in progress, and you cannot have any youth group that will be as progressive as the Nigerian Youth Parliament. But as Republicans, and as resurgents in the struggle for the emancipation of the Nigerian youth, we want to tell you that we will support your office, but please do not take it too hard on us. Because if we do not do this, then the center will never hold. And because we continue to pray that the center hold, so that things do not fall apart, we will continue to amplify the voice of the voiceless and the position of those that cannot speak for themselves. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Democrats, no, the SA himself recognizes his landlord. Landlord, come back to your seat. Come back, go back to your seat, please. Landlord. So he was the only person he identified and sent special regards to. So, landlord, the position of the Democrats.
No, you know why I look back? I wanted to just see how the Democrat faces are looking, so that I will know my position. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I want to first of all appreciate the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Youth and Student Affairs. After all what happened, was it yesterday? Day before yesterday, you came back, he sent you to still represent him. Indeed, we are delighted to still have you here. Charles, you're a leader. And for that, the minority leader have said it all. Yes. The minority leader have said it all. 2 days ago, yesterday, I was the one that round up everything. So this time, I think it's the duty of the minority leader to have spoken the mindset of the entire parliament. In the evening, we are having a dinner.
Landlord.
In the evening, we are
landlord.
having...
They said they want to speak their own mind. Your position is that of the minority leader. Are you not sensing a coup from the minority party?
No, don't worry. Our position is...
Honorable Walter, please quickly round this up. Our majority leader, please have your seat. Let Honorable Walter convey the feeling in 30 seconds.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, distinguished colleague. My northern colleague, be rest assured that we are together. Calm down. My brother and my leader, Honorable Ofemi Charles, Mr. Speaker, I think I need some protection here. Well, I just want to join my voice with
If it is joining of voices, don't worry. It has already been said. Thank you very much. Distinguished parliamentarians, for us to achieve some of the things we are here to do today, I would like to round up now. Distinguished essay to the President, you are a wonderful young man we believe in, and most of us have been agitators and advocates of the not too young to run, and given this opportunity, you should expect that the Parliament at every time would always support your office and support every objective that the office was set up for. And I would like to make this public that you, my leader, Charles Ofemi, is someone that I personally and by extension the Parliament respects a lot. What happened 2 days ago was not done out of any personal vendetta, but out of some of the, let me say, aspirations or of the people or let me say the yearnings, let me put it as the yearnings of the people we represent. We represent some youth. And thank God that this is going to further cement our relationship with the office. And for you, sir, I want to say a big thank you. When the going was very tough for the Parliament, I make bold to say that you have been one of the few persons that have supported us in terms of financial resources, intellectual resources, and every other contact that you have. We will always have respect for you and convey our message to the SA that we love him as a Parliament and we always support him. Thank you very much. The leader.
Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, having taken much of our presentation, which in line with the legislative practice, I now call on Honorable Darlington to present his motion, which happens to be the first motion of the day.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker.
What order?
Order 32, page number 30. With your kind permission.
Go on.
Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, thank you for this opportunity. My name is Prosper Iyere. I represent the good people, the good youths of Edo Central Senatorial District of Edo State. Order 32, page number 30. With your kind permission, Mr. Speaker, I would like to read. The matter for discussion shall, if possible, be referred to the Speaker of the Parliament before commencement of the day's sitting, and the Speaker of the Parliament shall refuse to allow the claim unless he is satisfied with the matter is definite and urgent. Matters of urgent public importance, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much, my brother. You may proceed with that. It is very pertinent that you do that. Please proceed with it.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Distinguished colleagues, I will be talking
But make it very brief.
Very well, Mr. Speaker. Distinguished colleagues, I will be speaking on the full compliance of the Nigerian Local Content Act and how it has bedeviled the growth and development among our young people. This paper is not an academic discourse. It is basically to tease out the content of the law.
Honorable Prosper, could you please just summarize? Just summarize this, please. Okay. As in, we are pressed for time.
All right, Mr. Speaker, thank you. Distinguished colleagues, you will recall that in 2010, the Nigerian Local Content Act was signed into law. And as we speak at this time, there is no full compliance of that act by the regulatory body of that act, which is Nigerian Content Monitoring Board.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker. Point of order, Mr. Speaker.
Please let him quickly round up. We are seriously pressed for time.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker.
It's an important order.
Important
okay,
order.
What order?
Mr. Speaker, I'm Honorable Dr. Ibrahim Kabiru Dalla. I represent Nasarawa South Senatorial District. Order 37, rules of debate. A member shall not read his speech, save if he's moving a motion or presenting a bill. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Well taken. Honorable Prosper, please summarize. You have 30 seconds to summarize that.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Speaker, and my colleague. Well, in effect, Mr. Speaker, I am saying that the Local Content Act has not been fully complied to as entrenched in the Act in 2010. This is so because we have seen that the content have made provisions for local companies, indigenous companies in Nigerians to get contract from Shell and other government contracts, big contracts. So you see that before now, multinational companies, IOCs get big contract and sublet to Nigerian indigenous companies. So,
Honorable Prosper, it is a very good one, but thankfully, the committees will be constituted today, and there is one on local content. It will be referred to and for proper review. Please, we are pressed for time. Thank you very much.
Thank
Majority
you,
Leader.
for your time.
Honorable colleagues, you may now call Honorable Darlington for his presentation. Thank you.
Honorable Darlington.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues. My name is Honorable Onwe Darlington Peters, and I represent the youth constituency of Ebonyi Central in this hallowed chamber. And I rise to sponsor the motion which calls for urgent need for the review of the Nigerian Youth Parliament framework and its adoption as the youth arm of the National Assembly. Note that Parliament notes that a revered institution, that a revered institution as the Nigerian Youth Parliament, saddled with the task of encouraging youth participation in governance process, in democratic process, aware that there are several conceptual errors and technical imbalance in the framework of the Parliament, of the Nigerian Youth Parliament, including but not isolated to referring the plenary of the Parliament as mock section. It becomes imperative that this framework be reviewed as a matter of urgency. And Parliament resolves to review of the Parliament framework, employ the services of consultants in going about this review, and of course, the adoption of the Parliament as the apex legislative arm of the Nigerian Youth Constituency, thereby operating as the youth arm of the National Assembly, as such, align its tenureship with that of the lower and upper chamber of the National Assembly. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Seconder. Honorable Barrister Mark Halu.
Right, Honorable Speaker. My name is Mark Alu. I represent the young people of Nasarawa North. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I rise briefly to second the motion ably moved by my brother. In adding to the debate as contained in the motion paper, I think this House, upon inauguration 2015, did constitute a committee to actually design and frame a framework that will actually give backing to perhaps the
please.
framework and the
you are
other.
still seconding. You are not. It's not a debate. You have to second.
Okay, I saw second, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Distinguished colleagues, this is something that we have all discussed at the level of the caucus. And I think it's explicit enough. We will not allow this debate because we already know what is contained therein. It's very explicit enough and it has been discussed. So I'll go straight to the prayers. This is the motion of Honorable Onwe Darlington, member representing Ebonyi Central at the Nigerian Youth Parliament, on the urgent need for the review of Youth Parliament framework and adoption as the youth arm of the National Assembly. Does the Parliament resolve to 1, review of the Parliament's framework? If you're in support, say aye. Aye. And if you're against, say nay. The ayes have it. Does the Parliament resolve to employ the services of consultants in going about this review? If you're in support, say aye. Aye. And if you're against, say nay. The ayes have it. Does the Parliament resolve to the adoption of the Parliament as the apex youth legislative arm of the Nigerian Youth Constituency, thereby operating as the youth arm of the National Assembly, as such aligning its tenureship with that of the lower and upper chambers? If you're in support, say aye. Aye. And if you're against, say nay. The ayes have it. The Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, the next item of the day is the presentation of motion by Honorable Bello Karai, Mr. Speaker, representing Kano South. Mr. Speaker, you may now invite Karai for his presentation. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Alaji Poti, you are invited.
I'm very much glad, Mr. Speaker. My name is Bello Abdulkadir Karai, member representing Kano South. I do hereby to move the motion that urgent call on the federal government to decongest the Nigerian prisons. Sir, note that the Nigerian prisons are congested. Over 70% of the inmates awaiting trials. Further note, the majority of inmates are youth that can add value to the socio-economic development of the nation. Resolve 2, to call the federal government to facilitate the process that will decongest the Nigerian prisons. As the Attorney General of the Federation, to put on trial all the youth in the prison that still awaiting trials. I so move, Mr. Speaker. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Any seconder? Honorable Jude Osadolo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable colleagues, my name still remains Honorable Jude Osadolo, representing the good people of Edo South. I stand to support the motion humbly moved by Honorable Bello Karai. I so second, sir.
Thank you very much. The beauty of this is that we have had extensive discussions on this at our own caucus level. So today's motion is just to formalize it. As in, the motion is quite explicit, and I will go to the prayers.
Mr. Speaker.
The motions are quite explicit, and we will now go to the prayers. This is the motion by Honorable Bello Abubakar Karaye. This is Abubakar here, please. But yes, Abukadri Karaye, member representing Kano South in the Nigerian Youth Parliament, on an urgent call on the federal government to decongest the Nigerian prisons. Does the Parliament resolve to call on the federal government to facilitate the process that will decongest the Nigerian prisons? If you are in support, say aye. Aye. If you are against, say nay. The ayes have it. Does the Parliament resolve to urge the Attorney General of the Federation to put on trial all the youth in prisons that are still awaiting trials? If you are in support, say aye. Aye. And if you are against, say nay. The ayes have it. Majority Leader. Hello? The majority leader and landlord. Landlord.
Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, having exhausted much time and our decision to name committees, I hereby call on Mr. Speaker to make his announcement. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Distinguished colleagues, I want to appreciate you for your patience all this while. And all other motions for today will be addressed to appropriate committees where it will be deliberated upon properly. And all other motions today, please. I wish to bring to the House, to the notice of this House, the visit of the Oba of Benin, Oba Ewuare II, who is here in Abuja on a thank you visit to the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria during his coronation as the new Oba of Benin. His Majesty arrived yesterday and missed great jubilation at the Abuja airport on his arrival. And I wish to bring to your notice from Dr. Jalia Bello, a youth named Bilikisu Nasidi, who is currently in the ICT unit of the Federal Staff Hospital, Jabi. After several operations, the youth is in need of blood donation. Our blood group is A positive, genotype AA. If you're ready to donate, people like Alaji Poti, I can see please kindly call this number 080-654-83338. Once again, 080-654-83338. Distinguished colleagues, having acknowledged the imbalance in the composition of our principal officers, and all we are doing is in conjunction, or let me say is in alignment with the standard practice of the legislative arm. We have, excuse me, we had 8 principal officers with 2 mandatory committee chairmen that served as principal officers, but normally it should be 10 and other 2 added to it for it to be 12. So I will be announcing the new principal offices that we'll be having. We'll be having the minority whip and we'll be having the deputy minority whip, making it 10. So we have the speaker, deputy speaker, the house leader, the deputy majority leader, so to say, the minority leader, the deputy minority leader, the chief whip, who is the house whip, the deputy house whip, the minority whip, and the deputy minority whip. Announcement of the names of these persons or distinguished members will be done during our dinner of the 2 new principal officers that will be joining the 10 that we had before. The chairman ethics and privileges and the chairman rules and business remain a member of the principal officers. Thank you. And to the committees, having consulted with, as the chairman of the selection committee, and having consulted with members of the selection committee, which the deputy speaker chairs and is the vice chairperson, and all members of the principal officers are also members of the selection committee. We have met, and because of time, we are pressed for time. I might not be able to announce names, We are going to announce it at the dinner, but these are the committees. Rules and Business, which we already have a chairman. Ethics and Privileges, which we already have a chairman. Agriculture and Rural Development. Environment, please take that down. Anti-Corruption and Good Governance. HIV/AIDS. We used to have Millennium Development Goals, but it has metamorphosed into Sustainable Development Goals. We have Health, Drugs, Narcotics, and Malaria Control. We have Education, Culture and Tourism, Student Affairs, Higher Institution and TED Fund. We have Science, we have ICT, Labor, Employment and Productivity, Gender and Family Affairs. We have National Youth Service Corps. We have Sport. And this is very important, International Relations, which is going to have a chairman, but we have several vice chairmen. We are going to have vice chairman on IPU, that's Inter-Parliamentary Union. We will have vice chairman on CPA. These are very important international organizations. We want someone to be the coordinator so that we can have better access to them and better relationship. Vice chairman IRI, vice chairman NDI, vice chairman WFD, for those that want to travel to UK, vice chairman WHO, vice chairman UNFPA, vice chairman UNIDO, vice chairman UNICEF, vice chairman UNESCO, and vice chairman ILO. Other committees: Investment, Promotion and Job Creation, Niger Delta Affairs, Media and Public Relations, National and Civic Orientation, Foreign Affairs, Civil Society Organizations, Defense, Security and Intelligence, Maritime, Interpolitical Affairs, Nigerian Youth Parliament Service Committee, People living with disability and special needs, Media, New Media, Social Media, and Drug Abuse. Thank you, distinguished honorable, for your
addendum, Mr. Speaker.
The
communication.
It's under ICT, Information and Communications Technology. The gala night will be a double celebration. That will be for the chairman and vice chairman and members, and at the same time, a place where we are going to interact. And the announcement of the 2 new principal officers, which one will come from the northern region and one will come from the southern region, to complement efforts of those of us that have been working. Thank you very much, distinguished colleagues.
Addendum, sir.
Thank you very much, distinguished colleagues. The gala night will be for 6 p.m.
Venue.
Stone Edge. For those that are close to the IDPs, you can come closer.
Mr. Speaker,
please, you cannot interrupt the chair, please.
What about side attraction?
You cannot interrupt the chair. Having made this announcement, I have the singular opportunity of adjourning the House with a ruling from the chair. This House stands adjourned at this time, 2:15 p.m. It's been adjourned sine die. Honorable members should please retire to room 107 for lunch. Thank you very much.
Sorry, if you carried a jotter that is not your own, black cover, mistakenly, please bring it back. Thank you very much.
Okay. In addition to that, a bag that is not your own, please bring it, is my own.
Okay.